Introduction. The mystery of reality. Reality is not what we think it is. The world you see, the space you walk through, even the time you believe moves forward, none of it exists in the way you assume. Everything you call real is shaped, molded, and even birthed by something far more profound than physical matter. Consciousness is not a passenger in the universe. It is the architect. For centuries, we've been told that reality exists independently of us, that we are mere observers watching a pre-written story unfold. But what if that's the greatest illusion of all? What if the very act of observing creates the stage upon which reality plays out? Science and mysticism, two worlds often seen as opposites, have begun whispering the same truth. The observer is not separate from the observed. You are not a passive entity trapped in the cosmos. You are an inseparable part of its unfolding mystery. The universe does not exist out there in some absolute form. It shifts, bends, and takes shape in response to awareness itself. The American scientist Jhon studied this topic, and with his insights, we will attempt to unravel this enigma, to question the foundations of existence, to explore the possibility that reality is not built from particles, but from perception. What if the physical world is just the shadow cast by something deeper, something made not of matter but of mind? What if the universe is not a machine but a thought? These questions are not just philosophical. They hold the power to reshape how you see yourself, your life, and your connection to everything. The answers are not out there. They begin with you. Chapter 1. The Participatory Universe. Reality is not a fixed structure. It is fluid, alive, and deeply entangled with the act of observation. Everything you see, touch, and believe to be out there exists not as an independent entity, but as a response, an echo of consciousness itself. The universe does not unfold on its own. It is shaped, sculpted, and even called into existence by the very awareness that perceives it. For centuries, we were told that the cosmos is an objective machine, indifferent to human existence. That space and time stretch infinitely, ruled by immutable laws, unaffected by our thoughts, perceptions, or presence. But what if this is an illusion? What if the universe is not a cold, mechanical construct, but a living dialogue between consciousness and creation? This is not just a mystical idea. It is a paradigm shift, one that modern physics has been forced to confront. At the smallest levels of existence, particles do not behave like tiny billiard balls rolling through space. Instead, they exist in a realm of pure possibility, waves of potential, neither here nor there, neither real nor unreal, until they are observed. The moment consciousness interacts with them, they take form, they become real. This is the great mystery. Observation does not just reveal reality, it shapes it. The universe is not a pre-written script, it is an improvisation, responding to the awareness that perceives it. If this holds true at the quantum level, what does it mean for the world at large? Could it be that everything, matter, energy, even time itself, exists in a state of fluid potential until it is witnessed? Could it be that the universe is not happening independently, but participating with us in its own unfolding? The implications are staggering. What if mountains and rivers, stars and galaxies, even the past and future itself, are not set in stone, but shaped by consciousness? What if, before awareness, there was nothing fixed at all, just an endless sea of probabilities waiting for an observer to bring them into form? This is the essence of a participatory universe, not a universe that exists despite you, but a universe that exists because of you. Science has long sought an answer to the question, what is the fabric of reality? The deeper we look, the stranger things become. The smallest known units of matter do not behave like matter at all. They flicker between states of existence and non-existence, responding to observation as if they know they are being watched. Light itself, a fundamental component of reality, sometimes behaves like a particle, sometimes like a wave. It adapts, it changes, and it refuses to be pinned down until a conscious observer measures it. But this phenomenon does not end with physics. If reality at its core is not material but informational, then consciousness is not simply inside reality, it is its foundation. Pause for a moment and consider, if the building blocks of the universe respond to being observed, then what is the force behind that observation? Could it be that awareness is not a byproduct of the universe, but its very source? If the universe requires observation to take shape, then something profound emerges. Before awareness, was there even a universe at all? This question has haunted philosophers and mystics for centuries. Some traditions have long suggested that reality is a construct of mind, that existence is not external but projected, an infinite dream of consciousness itself. What if existence does not precede awareness, but awareness precedes existence? This is not simply an abstract thought experiment, it is a shift that rewires how we understand everything. If consciousness is the source of reality, then the world is not happening to us, but through us. Could it be that the universe awakens through the very act of us looking at it? That reality does not move forward like an independent clock, but instead pulses into existence every time it is noticed, touched, and contemplated. If the observer is not separate from the observed, then reality is participatory at its core. We are not passive spectators in this cosmic play. We are the co-authors. Imagine waking up in a room of infinite mirrors, each reflecting back at you from a slightly different angle. Each movement, each breath, each flicker of thought is captured and echoed in countless ways. You reach out, and suddenly, the reflections shift. Not because they are separate from you, but because they are responding to you. Now imagine that this is not just a metaphor, but the nature of reality itself, that the universe is a hall of mirrors, reflecting back consciousness in countless forms. This is the great paradox. We search for truth outside of ourselves, but we are the ones shaping it. We look for meaning in the stars, but it is awareness that gives the stars their light. We assume the universe is a mystery to be solved, but in truth, we are part of the answer itself. For so long we have seen ourselves as separate from the universe, tiny beings drifting through an indifferent cosmos. But this illusion is beginning to dissolve. The boundary between self and world is growing thinner, revealing something astonishing. There is no divide between the observer and the observed. There never was. The trees outside your window, the vast sky above, the people you meet, the thoughts you think, all of it is part of a single, boundless awareness. Your mind is not simply inside the universe is inside your mind. This understanding does not make reality less real. It makes it more alive. It means that everything matters. Every moment of perception is not just an experience, it is an act of creation. You are not merely watching the story of the universe unfold. You are writing it. If reality is participatory, then the way we see the world is not just a reflection, it is a choice. What will you choose to see? A mechanical world of cold, indifferent matter? Or a conscious cosmos, responding, listening, and whispering back to you? The world is not static. It is fluid, shifting in response to the one looking at it. And now, the question remains, if reality takes shape through awareness, what will you create? Chapter 2. The Illusion of Separation. You are not separate from the universe, you never were. The idea that you are a single, isolated being moving through a vast and indifferent cosmos is the greatest illusion of all. Everything you see, everything you touch, every person you encounter, none of it is truly outside of you. The boundaries you believe in, the division between self and world, observer and observed, are merely constructs of perception. From the moment we are born, we are taught to see ourselves as individuals, contained within the limits of our own skin. We name ourselves, we create identities, we define the world as something that exists apart from us, something external, something other. But what if this is not reality? What if this is simply a way of looking, a lens that distorts the truth? What if, beneath the surface of this illusion, there is only oneness? Perception is not passive, it is an act of creation. The way you see determines the world you experience. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself floating in a dark, infinite space. No walls, no ground beneath you, no sky above, only vastness stretching in all directions. In this moment, There is no separation between you and the space around you. No boundaries exist because there is nothing to define them. Now, imagine a single point of light appearing in the distance. Instantly there is a here and a there, a self and an other. With the introduction of just one reference point, duality is born. This is how the mind constructs reality. The moment we divide, we create opposites, subject and object, inner and outer, self and world. And yet this division is not fundamental. It is not something that exists independently. It is something imposed by perception. Without these conceptual boundaries, what remains? Only unity. Only the seamless, indivisible whole. The illusion of separation is not just a trick of thought. It is the very foundation of human experience. We see the sun and believe it is out there, millions of miles away. We hear a sound and assume it is separate from the ears that receive it. But what if distance itself is an illusion? What if the light from the sun does not travel to meet you, but rather unfolds within the field of your awareness? What if the sound you hear is not separate from the consciousness that perceives it? At the smallest scales of existence, science confirms what mystics have always known. There is no objective out there that exists independently of the observer. The very act of seeing, touching, and knowing something is what brings it into form. If this is true, then the world is not something you move through. It is something that moves through you. The stars above, the ground beneath your feet, the air filling your lungs, all of it is not separate from your being, but an extension of it. There is a reason we feel connected to the night sky, to the ocean, to the laughter of a child. In those moments, something deeper is remembered, something beyond words, beyond logic, a flicker of recognition, an echo of a truth long forgotten. We are not fragments. We are the whole, looking at itself. Examine your surroundings. The same consciousness that beats inside you is reflected in every tree, every face, and every wind movement. This notion of otherness is a myth. The same presence that gives life to your own ideas and dreams also fills the void between you and the outside world. There is no separation between the experiencer and the experience, no separation between the self and the universe. You experience the world within yourself, not the other way around. Consider the scenario where a drop of water falls into the ocean. Where does the drop stop and the ocean start the instant it hits the surface? The lines blur. In the first place, the divide was never real. It was merely a method of naming something that was always a part of the total, a way of perceiving. In the same way, the notion of an individual, separate self is nothing more than a temporary ripple in the vastness of existence. For a time, the ripple believes itself to be distinct, isolated from the ocean around it. But eventually it remembers. It was never apart. It was always water, always whole. This illusion of separation is the source of fear, suffering, and longing. We feel alone because we have forgotten that we are not. We search for meaning, unaware that we are the meaning itself. But the moment this illusion dissolves, something extraordinary happens. The fear fades. The loneliness disappears. In its place, there is only recognition, only the vast, endless knowing that you have never been anything other than the whole. If you were to let go of every label, every name, every idea of who you are, what would remain? Not nothingness, but everything. Not emptiness, but infinite presence. You are not contained within a body, nor confined to a mind. You are the space in which all things arise. The universe does not exist apart from you. It exists because of you. The great paradox is this: the moment you stop seeking something beyond yourself, you find that you are already there. You have always been there. The search for truth is not a journey outward, but an awakening inward. The veil of separation is thin, so thin that a single shift in perception can tear it away. Now ask yourself, where do you end and the world begin? If you close your eyes, does the universe disappear? Or does it continue to exist, not outside of you, but within the infinite awareness that you are? The answer has been waiting for you, always. It is not in books, nor in theories, nor in distant galaxies. It is here now, in this very moment, in the space between these words and the one reading them. There is no separation. There never was. Chapter 3. It from Bit. Reality as information. Reality is not made of matter, it is made of meaning. The world you see, the objects you touch, the body you inhabit, none of these exist as solid, independent things. They exist as relationships, as patterns of information arranged into forms that consciousness can interpret. Everything that appears out there is the result of something deeper, something invisible yet fundamental: information. For centuries, we assumed that the universe was built from tiny, indestructible particles, the way a house is built from bricks. We imagined that beneath all complexity lay a foundation of pure substance, solid, unchanging, absolute. But as we looked deeper, as we split atoms and examined the fabric of existence, we found something unexpected. Matter dissolves into energy. Energy dissolves into probability. At the smallest scale of reality, there are no things, only choices, only answers to questions that have yet to be asked. At its core, the universe is not a machine. It is not a structure that exists independently of the one observing it. It is something far more fluid, far more mysterious. It is a dialogue, a process of unfolding possibilities that only take form when they are known. Reality, at its most fundamental level, is not made of anything. It emerges from information itself. But what is information? It is the answer to a question. It is the resolution of uncertainty. A single bit, a simple yes or no, is the smallest unit of knowledge, and it is from these binary choices that all complexity arises. The stars above, the cells in your body, the thoughts in your mind. Each one is part of an infinite web of interactions, a vast network of encoded meaning that pulses through existence like a living current. If there were no information, there would be no reality. If nothing were known, nothing would exist. This changes everything. The universe is not a cold, indifferent structure. It is an act of knowing. And if reality itself is nothing but a fabric of information, then what does that make you? You are not merely an observer within this system. You are a participant, a conscious node in the great unfolding of existence. The world does not simply happen to you. It happens through you, shaped by the very act of your awareness. If reality is information, then what we call matter is just one way of interpreting it. The physical world, the solidity of objects, the passage of time, these are not ultimate truths. They are interfaces, perceptual filters through which consciousness navigates meaning. The screen in front of you, the words you are reading, the very thoughts forming in your mind as you process them, these are not separate things. They are different layers of information interacting with one another, coalescing into an experience that feels real because it is being known. If the universe is built from information rather than substance, then reality is far more fluid than we assume. The walls around you, the sky above, the entire structure of space and time, all of it is a construct, a pattern of data woven together in a way that makes sense to the mind perceiving it. But what happens when the mind changes? What happens when the filter shifts, when the interpretation of information is altered? The reality that is perceived shifts as well. This is where the power of belief comes in. If reality is participatory, if the world takes shape through the act of knowing, then what you believe, what you hold to be true, determines the reality you experience. Your mind does not merely interpret the universe, it shapes it. Think of a dream. When you are inside one, the world it presents feels real. The places, the people, the events, each one appears as solid and meaningful as anything in waking life. But what is a dream made of? Nothing but thought. It is an internally generated reality, constructed entirely from information, arranged into an experience by the mind itself. Now, ask yourself, what is the difference between a dream and waking life? What if both are constructs of information, differing only in the way they are processed? The reality you experience is a reflection of the patterns of information you focus on. When you believe in limits, you experience a world of limitation. When you believe in possibility, the world expands. When you hold on to fear, reality mirrors it back to you. Your consciousness is not separate from the fabric of existence. It is an active thread woven into it. The world does not dictate meaning to you. It responds to the meaning you assign. This is the big secret that is right in front of you. You are not subject to the immutable laws of an objective cosmos that doesn't give a damn about you. The laws you believe govern reality are only agreements, informational patterns supported by prevailing beliefs. If you alter your perspective, the world will also alter. For a brief moment, consider the universe to be a huge ocean of untapped potential, a limitless sea of possibilities that are just waiting to be discovered. Information is present in every drop of water in this ocean, bits of reality that have not yet been seen, selected, or created. Now picture your awareness as a lens, a light beam that illuminates some drops while obscuring others. Your attention becomes reality. Ignoring something keeps it in the unmanifest realm. This is the power of perception. This is the power of belief. If reality emerges from information, and information takes form through observation, then the mind is not simply a receiver of the universe, it is a creator of it. Not in the sense of conjuring something from nothing, but in the sense of selecting which possibilities become real. The future is not written. It is a shifting field of potential, sculpted moment by the choices of awareness. The implications of this are profound. If everything is information, and if consciousness shapes that information, then reality is far more fluid, far more alive, far more responsive than we have ever imagined. The universe is not a dead machine, blindly following predetermined rules. It is an active field of meaning, a living dialogue between awareness and the infinite possibilities that surround it. Look around you now. The chair you sit in, the walls enclosing you, the breath moving through your body. These things feel solid, fixed, unchanging. But beneath the surface, they are nothing more than patterns of meaning, arrangements of information flowing through a field of awareness. And that awareness? That is you. You are not separate from reality. You are the knowing that gives it form. So the question is no longer, what is reality made of? The question is, what reality will you choose to create? Chapter 4. The Observer's Influence. Reality bends to the presence of the observer. The world does not unfold in a fixed, predetermined way. It shifts, morphs, and responds, an endless sea of possibilities waiting to be crystallized by the focus of awareness. The idea that thoughts are passive, that the mind exists in isolation from the material world, is one of the greatest deceptions ever accepted. You are not separate from the universe you perceive. You are part of the mechanism that gives it form. Every moment, with every thought, something is happening beneath the surface of existence. The mere act of observing, of directing awareness toward something, alters the very structure of reality itself. In the subatomic world, particles flicker in and out of existence, behaving as waves of probability until they are measured. But what, exactly, is a measurement? It is an act of knowing. A moment where awareness collapses uncertainty into something definite, something real. Without observation, there is no fixed outcome, only an ocean of potential. This truth is not confined to the microscopic. If the foundation of reality is participatory, then nothing in existence remains untouched by consciousness. The objects you see, the events that unfold, even the trajectory of your own life, each of these is influenced by the way you direct your attention. The world does not move independently of your awareness, it moves with it. For centuries, mystics have spoken of a hidden force within the mind, a power that shapes the external world as effortlessly as wind shapes the sand. They called it will, intention, the divine spark of creation embedded within human consciousness. What science has only begun to glimpse, the ancients have always known. What you focus on expands. What you believe in manifests. The universe does not simply impose itself upon you, it mirrors you. It is a reflection of what you hold within. Consider a simple truth. Where you place your attention, reality responds. The patterns of thought that dominate your mind become the filter through which you perceive the world. Walk into a room filled with strangers, and if you expect rejection, you will find coldness in their eyes. If you expect warmth, you will see smiles. Was the difference in them, or was it in you? The world does not show you what it is, it shows you what you are tuned to see. But what if this influence extends further? What if thoughts not only shape perception, but alter the material world itself? If reality at its core is informational rather than material, then intention is not merely a private phenomenon. It is a force that interacts with the very fabric of existence. Time and again, experiments have suggested that conscious focus can affect physical outcomes in ways that should be impossible. From the influence of human intention on the behavior of random number generators to the measurable impact of collective meditation on crime rates, there are cracks in the illusion that the mind is confined within the skull. The more we look, the more we find that consciousness does not exist within the world. The world exists within consciousness. What is manifestation if not the natural extension of this truth? To manifest is not to pull something from nothing, nor is it to defy the laws of nature. It is to align oneself with the fundamental structure of reality, the participatory unfolding of existence. When you hold a vision with clarity, when your mind is undivided in its focus, reality bends toward it. The pathways leading to it illuminate. Synchronicities appear. What seemed impossible becomes inevitable. This is not magic. It is not fantasy. It is the simple recognition that attention is the seed from which reality grows. There is no randomness in a conscious universe. Events do not unfold in isolation. What appears to be coincidence is often the result of unseen forces, patterns of energy and meaning aligning in response to deeply held thoughts and emotions. Have you ever thought of someone only for them to call you moments later? Have you ever spoken of an idea only to see it appear everywhere around you? The skeptic will call it chance. The one who understands will call it alignment. The greatest power in creation is the power of focus. A mind scattered, shifting from thought to thought, creates nothing with intention. But a mind that is clear, centered, unwavering in its vision, this is the mind that moves mountains. This is the mind that does not merely witness reality but sculpts it. When your focus is strong enough, when belief is unshaken, the external world begins to conform to the patterns held within. This is why those who expect failure find it, and those who expect success create it. This is why fear manifests more fear, and faith manifests more faith. The universe does not argue. It does not resist. It simply reflects. Doubt is the great disruptor of this process. The moment uncertainty enters, the signal is broken. The field of possibility collapses back into randomness. This is why those who create effortlessly are those who believe without contradiction. To manifest is not simply to wish, it is to know, to see the outcome as inevitable, to feel it as already real. The most powerful creators are not those who hope, they are those who decide. This is not superstition. It is the deepest law of existence. The mind is not a separate entity disconnected from the field of reality. It is woven into it. The observer does not stand outside of the observed. The observer is the catalyst, the initiator, the cause. If this is true, then what are the implications for your own life? If reality responds to attention, if thought and intention shape the material world, then the question is no longer what is possible. The question is, what are you choosing to see? Right now, in this very moment, an infinite number of realities exist as potential. Some of them are filled with limitation, some with boundless possibility. Which of them will come into being? Which will take form? That is not determined by chance, it is determined by you. To awaken to this truth is to step beyond the illusion of powerlessness. It is to realize that the world is not happening to you, it is happening through you. The future is not something that unfolds outside of your control. It is something that takes shape in response to your awareness. So the question is simple. If you are the observer, if your focus is the sculptor of reality, what will you create? Chapter 5. Time, Space, and the Mind. Time is not what you think it is. You experience it as a steady, forward-moving current, carrying you from past to future, an invisible force shaping everything you do. But what if this flow of time is an illusion? What if past, present, and future do not unfold in sequence but coexist in a way the mind has yet to fully grasp? What if time itself is not something you move through, but something your mind constructs as a way to make sense of existence? The idea that time is absolute is deeply ingrained in human perception. We measure it, track it, bind ourselves to it as though it were a fundamental reality, rather than a framework imposed by awareness itself. We assume that the past is fixed, the present is fleeting, and the future is unwritten. But the deeper we explore, the more we find that time is not a river, not a rigid structure, but a field of infinite possibilities, shaped by observation. At the smallest levels of existence, particles do not obey time in the way we expect. A choice made in the present can influence an outcome in the past. A measurement taken now can determine what must have happened before it. Reality does not move linearly from cause to effect, as if marching to the beat of some cosmic clock. Instead, it bends, loops, and rearranges itself based on awareness. If time itself is malleable, if the past and future exist not as fixed moments, but as a web of interwoven probabilities, then what does that mean for the way you live? The mind does not simply observe time, it structures it. From birth, we are trained to see existence as a progression, one event following another in a straight, unbreakable line. But this is not an inherent truth. It is a function of consciousness itself. The brain, like a film projector, takes the raw, non-linear data of existence and arranges it into a story. We do not experience time as it is. We experience time as we expect it to be. If the mind were to change the way it processes time, would time itself change? There are moments when this illusion breaks, when time no longer behaves as a steady current, but expands, collapses, and dissolves entirely. In deep meditation, in near-death experiences, in moments of profound insight, people describe a state beyond time, a space where past, present, and future are not separate, but one. They speak of events unfolding all at once, of knowing things before they happen, of a reality where time is not a sequence but a field that can be stepped into from any direction. What if these moments of time transcendence are not hallucinations but glimpses of a deeper truth? What if linear time is merely one way of experiencing reality, a convenience for the mind rather than an ultimate law? Imagine standing on the shore of an infinite ocean. In the distance, you see an island and assume you must travel toward it, moving through time to reach it. But what if the island is already here? What if the only thing creating the illusion of distance is the way you are perceiving the scene? If time is not a force outside of you, but a structure within consciousness, then the way you engage with time matters. The future is not something waiting for you. It already exists as potential, shifting and reshaping itself based on what you choose to focus on now. The past is not something fixed and unchangeable. It is a pattern of information, and like all patterns, it can be altered by the awareness observing it. This is why memories shift, why experiences seem to change when revisited from a different perspective. The past is not a rigid archive. It is fluid, responding to the meaning assigned to it in the present. Have you ever looked back at an event in your life and realized it was never what you thought it was? That the same memory, once a source of pain, can later become a source of wisdom. The past is not what happened. It is what is being perceived now. So, if the past can change, if the future is not set, and if time is a construct of the mind, then what does that mean for reality itself? It means you are not bound by time in the way you have been led to believe. It means the story you tell yourself about your life is not written in stone. It means that time does not control you. You control time. There are those who claim to have bent time, to have seen glimpses of futures before they arrived, to have experienced moments where time seemed to stop altogether. Are these simply anomalies, tricks of the brain, or are they moments when the illusion of time wavered, revealing a deeper truth beneath it? If you could step outside of time, what would you see? Would you see every moment of your life happening simultaneously? Would you see how choices ripple in all directions, shaping not just the future but the past? Would you realize that the you of yesterday and the you of tomorrow are not separate, but part of a single timeless awareness? The implications are staggering. If time is not an external force, if it is a perception rather than a fundamental structure, then life is not a one-way journey. The way you engage with time, The way you think about the past and anticipate the future is not passive, it is creative. The choices you make now do not simply push you forward, they reshape the entire field of your existence. So how will you engage with time? Will you continue to see it as a force pulling you along, dictating your fate? Or will you recognize that time is something you participate in, something that responds to the depth of your awareness? The answer has been waiting for you, just beyond the illusion. Time is not moving, you are. And the moment you realize this, everything changes. Chapter 6. The Light Behind Consciousness. There is something behind your thoughts, something watching, something aware. It is not a voice in your head, not the endless stream of opinions, desires, and fears that flood your mind. It is not your name, not your memories, not the body you inhabit. It is something deeper, silent, formless, infinite. It is the light behind consciousness itself. For as long as you can remember, you have been identified with a self, a collection of thoughts, emotions, and experiences that define who you believe you are. This self has a story, a past, a future. It has preferences, attachments, and fears. It fights to protect its identity, fearing dissolution, fearing the unknown. But what if this self is not who you truly are? What if it is only a mask, a shifting play of perceptions, while the real you remains unseen, untouched by the drama of existence? Look closely. Thoughts appear, and you witness them. Emotions rise and fall, and yet something observes. Sensations arise in the body, yet there is an awareness of them. If you were truly your thoughts, who is the one watching them? If you were your emotions, who is the one that notices their coming and going? There is something beneath it all, something constant, something vast. You have never truly been separate from this awareness, but you have been distracted from it, conditioned to believe that you are merely the thinker of thoughts rather than the space in which thought appears, trained to see yourself as a fragment rather than as the whole. But there are moments, fleeting yet powerful, where this illusion of separation cracks. Perhaps you have felt it in deep stillness, in the vastness of a night sky, in the quiet after a storm. A moment where the sense of I disappears, yet something remains. A knowing, an openness, a presence so deep that it transcends words. Non-dual consciousness is this, the understanding that you are the cosmos experiencing itself, not a single person experiencing the universe. There is no such thing as self and world, observer and observed. The mind creates this illusion, a deception of perception that breaks down the instant consciousness turns inward and asks, who am I? This understanding is resisted by the ego. It relies on division, identity, and the notion that you are a distinct individual navigating the outside world. It clings frantically to definition and form out of dread of its own breakdown. In actuality, however, the ego is really a fabrication, a group of thought patterns disguising itself as the self. It loses its hold when viewed for what it is, leaving behind something immense, timeless, and indescribable. To directly experience this truth is to awaken from a dream. The mind resists, conditioned to grasp at labels and concepts, but awakening is not something that can be understood intellectually. It is not an idea. It is a direct shift in perception, a stepping back from identification with the self and into the boundless awareness that has always been there. The moment this shift occurs, everything changes. The world does not become different, you do. The illusion of separation dissolves. The universe is no longer something happening outside of you. It is happening within you, as you. This is why those who have glimpsed this truth speak of an overwhelming sense of peace, of freedom, of deep and abiding love. Because without the illusion of separateness, what is there to fear? Without an ego to protect, what remains but the endless unfolding of existence, perfect in its imperfection? The self that once seemed so important, so central to reality, is seen for what it truly is, a fleeting thought in the vast ocean of awareness. Many fear that awakening means losing something, that stepping beyond the ego will strip them of their identity, their individuality. But the opposite is true. To awaken is not to lose the self, it is to expand beyond it. It is to see that you were never small, never limited, never confined to a single body, a single name, a single story. You have always been everything. The mind resists, asking, if there is no self, then who am I? But this question itself is a trap, because it assumes that you must be something. It assumes that reality must conform to language, to labels, to the constraints of thought. The answer is beyond all of this. It is not something that can be spoken, only known. Look now, in this moment. Are you your name, your past, your body, or are you the awareness that witnesses them all? If thoughts disappeared, if memories vanished, if all labels were stripped away, would you cease to exist? No. Something would remain. Something silent, luminous, infinite. This is the light behind consciousness. Not something separate from you, but what you have always been. To recognize it is to remember what was never truly forgotten, only obscured by the noise of the mind. And once it is seen, it cannot be unseen. The world continues, life moves forward, but everything is different. The burden of self dissolves. Fear loses its power. Reality is no longer something happening to you, but something flowing through you. And in that realization, the greatest truth emerges. The thing you have been searching for your entire life, the peace, the wholeness, the sense of home, has never been somewhere else. It has always been here, waiting. It is not found in the past, nor in the future. It is in this moment, in the stillness between thoughts, in the space where the self fades and only being remains. You are not becoming something new. You are not reaching for something outside yourself. You are simply waking up to what has always been. Chapter 7. The questions we ask. Define the answers we get. Reality does not give answers. It gives responses to the questions you ask of it. Every experience, every insight, every discovery is not something passively received. It is something actively shaped by the framework of inquiry that precedes it. The universe does not simply unfold in a fixed, preordained way. It bends to the nature of attention, conforming itself to the lens through which it is observed. If you want different answers, you must ask different questions. From childhood, we are trained to see the world in a particular way. We inherit beliefs, assumptions, and rules about what is possible. We are told what to seek, and by extension, what to ignore. But what if the greatest limitation is not the world itself, but the questions we fail to ask? What if the depth of our reality is not determined by external forces, but by the curiosity with which we engage it? A person who asks, "Why is the world against me?" will find endless reasons to justify that belief. A person who asks, "How can I align with the flow of life?" will uncover pathways leading toward clarity and expansion. The mind, like a searchlight, will illuminate what it is programmed to seek. The question is the map, and the answers can only follow the direction it points toward. If you assume the universe is chaotic and meaningless, you will find proof of disorder everywhere you look. If you assume reality is intelligent and responsive, you will begin to notice synchronicities, patterns, and an unseen intelligence weaving through all things. The same world, two entirely different realities. The difference is not in what is out there, but in the questions that shape perception itself. Curiosity is the force that expands consciousness. The mind that ceases to ask, that assumes it already knows, becomes a closed system, cut off from new information, trapped in the cycle of its own beliefs. But the mind that remains open, that approaches each moment with wonder rather than certainty, will find reality opening itself in ways previously unimaginable. It is not the answer that transforms a person, it is the willingness to ask. History's greatest revelations did not emerge from those who blindly accepted the world as it appeared. They came from those who dared to ask, what if there is more? What if space and time are not fixed? What if the observer influences reality? What if consciousness is not inside the brain, but the brain inside consciousness? These were not statements, they were questions, and because they were asked, the universe responded. The same is true on a personal level. The quality of your life is directly connected to the quality of the questions you ask about it. Do you ask, "Why am I stuck?" Or do you ask, how can I grow from this? Do you ask, what is wrong with me? Or do you ask, what is it within me that wants to be understood? These subtle shifts are not trivial. They are the difference between a mind trapped in limitation and a mind expanding into deeper awareness. Spiritual awakening itself is not an accumulation of knowledge. It is the dissolving of false assumptions. It is not about gathering more facts, but about unlearning the structures that have confined perception. And unlearning begins with inquiry. Who am I, truly? Where do my thoughts come from? Is my awareness something personal, or is it part of something greater? Each question peels back a layer, revealing that the boundaries we once took for granted are not as solid as they seemed. There is a reason why wisdom traditions emphasize the importance of open-ended questions rather than rigid doctrines. A rigid answer is a dead end. A question is a door. The moment we say, "This is how things are," we close ourselves off from deeper insight. But the moment we say, "What else is possible?" the boundaries of reality begin to shift. The greatest illusion is the belief that we already know. The greatest power is the ability to wonder. The mind resists this openness because it craves certainty. It wants answers it can hold on to, structures it can rely upon. But certainty is an illusion, and clinging to it only reinforces limitation. True knowing is fluid, adaptable, always in motion. The wisest among us are not those who claim to have all the answers. They are the ones who remain forever curious, forever open to the next revelation. This is not an abstract philosophy. It is something that can be applied to every aspect of life. If you believe a situation is hopeless, ask, "Is there something I haven't seen yet?" If you feel stuck in a cycle, ask, "What am I unwilling to question?" If you want to expand your awareness, ask, "What assumptions have I never examined?" Reality does not withhold truth. It simply waits for the right question to be asked. The paradox is that the deeper you inquire, the more you realize that truth is not something external to be found. It is something that reveals itself through you. The journey of questioning leads to an understanding that the observer and the observed are not separate. The answers were never hidden. They were simply unseen because the right questions had not yet been asked. So ask. Ask without fear. Ask without the need for immediate certainty. Ask not to arrive at a conclusion, but to dissolve the limitations that prevent seeing clearly. The questions you ask will shape the world you perceive, and the world you perceive will, in turn, shape the reality you live. Chapter 7. The questions we ask define the answers we get. The reality you experience is not simply given to you, it is shaped by the questions you ask. Every moment of your life is filtered through an invisible framework, the silent inquiries your mind makes about the world, about yourself, about what is possible. These questions are so subtle, so deeply embedded in perception, that they go unnoticed, and yet they determine everything. If you believe the world is hostile, every event will confirm that belief. If you believe the universe is guiding you, every moment will seem to whisper with synchronicity. The difference is not in the external world itself, but in the inquiry through which it is perceived. Reality is participatory. It does not exist in a fixed state, waiting to be observed in the same way by all. It unfolds in response to the observer, bending to expectation, shaped by the nature of attention itself. What you seek, you find. What you assume to be true, reality finds a way to reflect back to you. The answers are not separate from the questions. They emerge as their natural consequence. Change the question, and you change the experience. This is the big secret that is right in front of you. Your mind is in a constant dialogue with life from the minute you awaken. Frequently, without realizing it, you question yourself. Why is my life the way it is? What can I do? What is the world going to provide me? The universe then reacts by providing experiences, revelations, and affirmations that support the question's basic premise. Someone who is always asking themselves, "Why do things always go wrong for me?" will encounter challenges at every stage. "What new opportunities are I going to have today?" asks another. Will discover doors opening in previously unnoticed ways. Inquiry is not passive. It is a force of creation. The greatest breakthroughs in science, art, and spirituality did not come from those who simply accepted the world as it appeared, but from those who dared to ask, what if there is more? Every discovery, every leap in understanding, began with a question that had not yet been asked. The limits of knowledge are not dictated by the world itself. They are dictated by the curiosity we bring to it. To believe you already know is to place a ceiling on perception. The mind, when closed, becomes a locked room, endlessly circling the same thoughts, the same explanations, the same predictable outcomes. But the moment a single doubt enters, a single open-ended question, the walls begin to dissolve. What if my assumptions are wrong? What if there is something I haven't seen yet? These questions are the first cracks in the illusion of certainty, allowing light to enter. Consciousness does not expand through accumulation of knowledge alone, but through the willingness to release fixed ideas. The mind clings to certainty because it feels safe, yet certainty is the enemy of growth. The deepest truths cannot be contained within rigid conclusions. They can only be touched through openness, through the endless willingness to inquire deeper. When you stop asking, you stop seeing. But when you remain open, the universe reveals itself in ways the rational mind could never predict. Personal transformation follows the same principle. The people who feel most trapped in their circumstances are often those who have unknowingly stopped questioning them. They believe their limitations are real, their struggles inevitable, their past unchangeable. And because they do not ask, is there another way, they do not find one. But the moment inquiry returns, the doors appear. A new path, a new insight, a new realization emerges, not because reality has suddenly changed, but because their perception of it has. Spiritual awakening is not the discovery of something new, it is the stripping away of everything false. And this process begins with the simplest yet most profound question of all. Who am I? It is a question that cannot be answered with words, yet it has the power to dissolve illusions that have held for a lifetime. To ask sincerely, without grasping for an immediate conclusion, is to step into the unknown, to enter the space where identity unravels and something deeper is revealed. The same principle applies to every aspect of life. A person struggling with fear may ask, how do I stop feeling this way? But a deeper question may be, who is the one experiencing fear? A person seeking purpose may ask, what should I do with my life? But a more expansive question might be, what is life asking of me? The shift in inquiry is subtle but profound. It moves from seeking control to allowing discovery. The world does not impose meaning upon you. It is not a static structure with fixed laws dictating every outcome. It is alive, fluid, responding in ways that cannot be measured by logic alone. The answers you receive will always reflect the depth of the questions you are willing to ask. This is why the most enlightened minds do not claim to know everything. They remain in a state of wonder, always peering beyond the veil of assumption, always open to the next revelation. What inquiries, then, are influencing your reality? Do they have doors open or closed? Are they strengthening your pre-existing illusions or guiding you further into the mystery? Perception, not situation, determines whether something is stagnant or transformative. And investigation shapes perception. Inquire. Ask bravely, curiously, and without requiring a quick answer. Ask to break down the barriers that prevent you from seeing, not to discover the answer. Your reality tomorrow will be shaped by the questions you ask today. Chapter 8. Conscious Creation. Manifesting Reality. Reality is not something that happens to you. It is something that happens through you. Every moment of your life, seen or unseen, is shaped by awareness. The world is not a fixed stage where events unfold independently of the observer. It is fluid, responding, shifting in ways that are inseparable from the focus of consciousness itself. What you pay attention to grows. What you expect subtly molds itself into form. The reality you experience is not an accident. It is an ongoing creation, shaped by the silent agreements between your mind and the universe. There is no separation between the inner and the outer. The line between thought and matter, between belief and experience, is far thinner than it seems. It is easy to believe that life moves forward on its own, that circumstances arrive randomly, that the future unfolds in ways beyond personal influence. But the deeper truth is this: awareness directs reality, and whatever is consistently held in mind begins to take shape in the world. This is not wishful thinking. It is not a philosophy of passive optimism. It is a fundamental principle of existence. Consciousness is not separate from creation. It is the mechanism through which it unfolds. Synchronicity and serendipity are not coincidences. They are not strange anomalies, nor are they the product of mere chance. They are glimpses into the deeper order beneath what appears to be chaos. They are the universe reflecting the patterns of mind back to the observer, revealing that life is not a series of disconnected events, but an intricate web of meaning woven through awareness itself. The things you think about most, the emotions you dwell in, the beliefs you refuse to question, all of these act as unseen forces, shaping experience before it reaches the surface of perception. What seems random is often deeply connected. What seems unexpected is often the natural consequence of the frequencies being broadcast from within. There are moments when the illusion of separation collapses, when reality seems to whisper in response to an unspoken thought, when a door opens precisely at the right time, when a pattern appears so undeniably perfect that it defies explanation. These moments are not rare. They are happening constantly, but most go unnoticed. The mind that is distracted, fragmented, and unfocused does not see the connections. But the mind that is still, that is aware, that moves with intention, this mind begins to recognize that reality is speaking at all times. The only question is whether one is listening. To live in alignment with this deeper reality is not to control it, but to participate with it. The world does not respond to force, it responds to coherence. A mind scattered by doubt sends mixed signals into the field of possibility, but a mind that is clear, focused, and unwavering in its awareness creates a reality that reflects that inner clarity. This is why those who deeply trust in their path seem to move through life with a kind of effortless flow. They are not wrestling with existence, they are aligned with it. Their thoughts, emotions, and actions are in harmony, and the universe mirrors that harmony back to them. The process of conscious creation is not about imposing will upon reality. It is about recognizing that reality is already shaped by will. The key is to become intentional about what is being created. Attention is the architect of experience. Where awareness lingers, energy gathers, and where energy gathers, form begins to emerge. This is why those who dwell in fear unknowingly manifest more fear. Why those who hold resentment seem to find more reasons to be resentful. Why those who believe in limitation continue to encounter obstacles. Reality does not contradict the patterns held in consciousness. It reflects them. To shift experience, awareness itself must shift. This begins not by forcing change upon the external world, but by refining the inner world through which it is perceived. The first step is clarity. What do you truly want? Not in the sense of fleeting desires, but in the deeper sense of alignment. What reality feels most true? What state of being resonates beyond momentary craving? Without clarity, energy is dispersed, and without energy, nothing takes form. To shift experience, awareness itself must shift. This begins not by forcing change upon the external world, but by refining the inner world through which it is perceived. The first step is clarity. What do you truly want? Not in the sense of fleeting desires, but in the deeper sense of alignment. What reality feels most true? What state of being resonates beyond momentary craving? Without clarity, energy is dispersed, and without energy, nothing takes form. Once clarity emerges, the next step is unwavering focus. Not obsession, not desperation, but a steady holding of attention upon what is being called into existence. This is not merely a practice of thought, but a practice of embodiment. It is not enough to wish for something. One must step into the reality of it before it arrives. Those who create powerfully do not wait for evidence before believing. They believe first, and the evidence follows. The final step is surrender. This is where most fail, grasping too tightly, doubting too quickly, interfering with the natural unfolding of what has already been set in motion. The greatest creators do not force outcomes, they allow them. They trust that the field of reality is already shifting in response to the energy they have aligned with. They move with confidence, not because they see the path fully laid out, but because they know that the path will reveal itself as they walk it. Manifestation is not about getting something, it is about being something. The external world is a mirror, and it will not reflect what is not already held within. If one desires abundance but dwells in lack, the mirror will show lack. If one seeks love but clings to fear, the mirror will reflect fear. But when one fully steps into the reality they wish to create, not just in thought, but in being, the world has no choice but to respond in kind. There are no external forces dictating what is possible. There is no predetermined script outlining what must happen next. There is only the endless unfolding of potential, shaped by the awareness that witnesses it. The future is not waiting to be discovered. It is waiting to be created. The only question is whether one will create consciously or unconsciously, with intention or by default, with trust or with resistance. Everything is connected. Every thought, every emotion, every action is part of a larger network of influence, stretching beyond what the eye can see. When this truth is understood, not as theory, but as direct experience, life ceases to be something to struggle against. It becomes something to co-create. And when that shift occurs, when one begins to see the threads of connection everywhere, a new way of being emerges. One no longer fights the current. One becomes the current. Chapter 9. Beyond the. Chapter 9. Beyond the self, the cosmic mind. You are not who you think you are. For as long as you can remember, you have believed yourself to be a single mind, housed in a single body, moving through an external world that exists independent of you. This identity feels personal, defined by memories, experiences, and thoughts that seem to belong solely to you. But what if this sense of separateness is an illusion? What if consciousness is not divided into fragments, not confined to individuals, but part of something vast, something all-encompassing, something cosmic? There is no true boundary between your mind and the universe. The thoughts that arise within you are not isolated sparks of awareness trapped in a single brain, but currents in an infinite ocean of consciousness. The mind you call your own is not separate from the whole. It is an extension of it, a temporary wave rising and falling in the boundless sea of existence. The belief in an individual self, distinct and apart, is a necessary illusion for navigating the physical world. But beyond this illusion lies a deeper truth. You are not in the universe. You are the universe. The moment this understanding begins to unfold, everything shifts. The rigid sense of me dissolves into something greater, something more expansive than the mind can fully grasp. The walls of identity crumble, revealing that the same awareness looking out through your eyes is the same awareness that animates all things. The trees, the stars, the breath moving through your body. None of it is separate. The mind that wonders, that seeks, that questions, is the universe contemplating itself. This is not a theory, not an abstract concept to be analyzed and debated. It is a direct experience, a realization that has the power to dissolve fear, to quiet the endless striving of the ego, to bring a profound sense of peace. The self that you have spent a lifetime protecting, defending, and defining is not the real you. It is only a mask, a role played for a time in the grand unfolding of existence. And when this mask is lifted, what remains is something infinite, something timeless, something beyond self. The fabric of reality is woven with consciousness, and the force that binds it together is love. Not love in the limited human sense of desire or attachment, but love as the fundamental nature of existence itself. It is the unseen force drawing all things toward unity, the silent intelligence guiding the dance of galaxies, the undercurrent of harmony that flows through all life. Love is not something to be sought. It is something that already is. It is the recognition that nothing has ever been separate to begin with. To see through the illusion of separateness is to understand that everything is connected, not metaphorically but literally. The same consciousness that animates you animates all beings, all forms, all expressions of life. The stranger walking past you on the street is not other. They are another expression of the same awareness that flows through you. The river carving its way through stone, the bird soaring weightless through the sky, the stars burning with ancient fire. They are not distant objects in a foreign world. They are parts of you. They are you, wearing different faces, speaking in different languages, appearing in different forms. In this recognition, judgment fades, conflict dissolves, fear loses its grip. When you no longer see yourself as separate, how can there be enemies? How can there be division? The pain of another is your pain. The joy of another is your joy. The illusion of mine and yours disappears, replaced by a knowing that everything, every experience, every being, every moment is part of the same unfolding whole. There is a profound paradox in this realization. The more one seeks to define oneself, the smaller one becomes. The more one lets go of the need for identity, the more expansive one becomes. The self is a doorway, not a destination. It is a temporary expression of something infinite, a single note in the vast symphony of consciousness. To cling to it is to remain small, but to release it is to merge with the whole, to remember what has always been true. This is why the greatest awakening is not found in gaining more, but in letting go. Letting go of the idea that you are separate, letting go of the belief that you are alone, letting go of the illusion that you are a fleeting being, bound by time, trapped in a single form. What you truly are has no beginning and no end. You are not just part of the universe, you are the universe, momentarily looking out through human eyes, playing the game of form before returning to the infinite field of awareness from which you came. So where does this realization lead? How does one live, knowing that there is no true separation, that all is one? The answer is simple, with love, with presence, with the understanding that everything, every encounter, every challenge, every moment, is an opportunity to recognize yourself in another, to see beyond the surface, to move through the world not as a separate self struggling against life, but as life itself, flowing effortlessly in harmony with the greater whole. The journey beyond the self is not one of escape, but of return. Return to the awareness that has never been lost, only forgotten. Return to the knowing that everything is interconnected, that nothing has ever truly been apart. Return to the deepest truth of all. There is only one consciousness, moving through countless forms, endlessly creating, endlessly exploring, endlessly awakening to itself. And you right now in this very moment are that consciousness. You always have been. You always will be. Conclusion. Becoming the answer. You have spent your life searching for meaning, for purpose, for truth. You have asked the questions that stretch beyond the limits of what can be measured, beyond what can be contained in words. What is reality? What is consciousness? Who am I really? And yet the answer was never somewhere outside of you. It was never in the stars, never in the theories, never in the endless search for something beyond the present moment. The answer was always you. Not the small shifting identity constructed from memories and labels, but the awareness that has been watching it all unfold, silently present through every joy, every sorrow, every breath. Reality is not something that happens to you. It is something that happens through you. You are not a bystander in the universe, not a mere observer watching a story that was written long before your arrival. You are the story, the author, the ink, and the page. Every thought, every perception, every belief is a brushstroke on the canvas of existence, shaping what is seen, felt, and experienced. The world does not move forward in a fixed, inevitable path. It shifts and bends in response to the awareness that witnesses it. To know this is to awaken to a profound responsibility. It is no longer enough to simply ask, what is reality? One must ask, what reality am I creating? No longer enough to wonder, what is consciousness? One must ask, how am I using it? Awareness is not passive. It is the force that gives birth to form, the invisible foundation upon which all things take shape. Every moment is a choice, a point of creation, a chance to align with a deeper truth or to remain entangled in illusion. The universe is an unfolding mystery, a vast infinite intelligence forever expanding into new expressions of itself. And yet, it is not something separate from you. It is not a distant force, unknowable and unreachable. It is you. It has always been you. The mind that questions, the heart that seeks, the presence that simply is, these are not fragments of something greater. They are the whole, peering at itself through the eyes of the finite. This understanding does not arrive with fireworks. It does not announce itself in grand displays of revelation. It comes in the quiet moments, in the stillness between thoughts, in the recognition that nothing has ever been apart, that the search has always been leading back to itself. To grasp at it is to miss it, to force it is to obscure it, but to rest in it, to allow it to emerge naturally, effortlessly, is to see clearly for the first time. And so the question remains, how will you engage with this truth? Will you continue to seek, hoping for an answer outside yourself? Or will you finally allow the search to end, not in defeat, but in realization? You are not a question waiting to be answered. You are the answer awakening to itself.